Hello again, and welcome to the Corner Studio here in my garage. And I see from a high-tech teleprompter, which I typically hold up at the start of the program, it is indeed time for another episode of Friday Evening Camera Talk. This is episode number 137, and we're shooting tonight on the Nikon Z9 with the 24-120 lens. The working title for tonight is I'll Prove the Worth of This Camera in 60 Seconds. This is, of course, as you can probably see, the Nikon Z5II. It has the 24-105 lens on it. That's the newest one in the household here. I took this camera out to an event this past weekend. It was the Anacortes, Washington Annual Art Festival for 2026. I took this camera out just as it's configured with the lightweight 24-105 lens and the camera, and I shot it handheld. And what we're going to do is take a look at the video, a bunch of short clips that I put together to make about a 1-minute film. So we'll take a look at that. Okay, so we just saw that very short film that I took of the Anacortes Art Festival, and I said I was going to prove the worth of this camera. I typically take this camera out and I shut the back screen. I don't try to use it for shooting. I'll put the camera right up to my eye, I'll rest it against my eye, and I'll just hold it as I shoot the video. And typically I'll try to shoot, whether it's street scenes like we just saw or wildlife or whatever. If I'm hand holding something, I might only hold it for 5 to 20 seconds, try just to get, just to capture a sample of that subject. If I can get 3 to 5, maybe 7 seconds of whatever's going on handheld, I consider that to be a success. And that's this camera's secret weapon, is the 7 stops of IBIS. It is not the 24.5 megapixel sensor, because I got a lot more sensor power in the Z8 or the Z9. So I carry this because of its portability and its 7 stops of in-body image stabilization. Now the lens is kind of a new add-on. I've got my notes here. This whole bundle with the 24-105 lens weighs 1,143 grams, and for the rest of us, that's 2 pounds, 8 ounces. So we're talking about a 2.5 pound camera rig that just really is ready to go. So we've talked about the Z5II on the channel here. At some point after we've used the 24-105, I'll owe my usual 3-month review on it. I've got the 70-200, which once we've had it 3 months, we'll also give a 3-month review on that lens. And we probably won't be just here in the short term bringing the Z5II and the 24-105 back on so often, unless I figure out something great that they're able to do. The next item, and I mentioned this when I was doing a guest appearance over on Ron Durant's channel, we ordered this B+W filter. Now this is a 95mm filter which fits our 400 4.5 and the 600 6.3 lenses, and the reason that we ordered that is because we did not have a polarizing filter. And I'm showing you what the box looks like, but it's empty. The wife has it, and she's already been shooting it It just arrived a day or two ago, and we've already put it into play. But I'm going to bring this back on, and we're going to have a look at the output probably in the next episode. But this was a heavy brass filter, polarizing filter. You screw it onto the end of the lens, and then the filter itself, the polarizing part, shifts as you need it to. And I think it's going to be a big help on these really bright days around here to cut the glare down. And I guess if I'm just being absolutely honest, this is about the $150 price point plus sales tax. And you buy an expensive lens like the 600 6.3, and then in the back of your mind, you've got this kind of hang up about spending $165 or thereabouts to get a proper polarizer. But I also was on Ron Durant's live broadcast the other day, and I was talking about the reasons for buying this. We just plain were long overdue getting a polarizing filter. The wife actually went out on a boat tour to shoot puffins recently, and she didn't have a polarizing filter, and the glare showed up in the pictures, you could just tell. Let's move things along a little bit. We're going to take a station break here, but when we get back, we're going to talk about an interesting rumor, the Z7III. Yes, the Z7III. All right, so once in a while I drop into a website, Digital Camera World, and I think I have quoted this guy before, James Arteas. His stuff's pretty good, actually. I don't mind giving the channel a plug here, but Z7III, he's the only person that I know of that says he had a source, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here. I encourage you to go look at the website yourself, but he says that the Z7III might be coming according to one of his sources. He also says that that's going to have either a 61 or a 68 megapixel sensor in it. And this is the one thing that, that Nikon needs to do, is to get into that 60 plus megapixel sensor game that others have already thrown their hat into. I've been waiting on it. The Z8 and the Z9 are excellent cameras, but they are capped at 45 megapixels, and sometimes it just feels like you need a little bit more than that. And for me, not necessarily for the video work that I do, but when you go out and you shoot pictures, if you have a little bit more, it sure gives you a chance to crop in later. I've talked about on the channel before recently that I was having trouble finding good content on YouTube to watch. And I had an idea here. I think I'll just, I'll share with you some channels that I've found recently. And when I say recently, I'm talking about roughly the last 6 months or so. These are channels that I have watched, I have found good content at, and are relatively new to me. So I thought I'd share these here at the end of the program, and I've got screenshots for each one. I'm going to put up the screenshots, I think, all in one gang, and you can watch those as we end the program, but I'll walk you through with a short description of each one. The first one will be Thomas Dahl, and that's D-A-H-L, and I'm not doing one of these things where I point up here or whatever and say, there's the link. We're all grown-ups here, and I think by having a screenshot of their channel and me just telling you about it, you could find it if you're curious. But Thomas Dahl, I think he's operating out of Copenhagen, and he does interesting personal experiences mixed with camera talk. I found the channel to be really good. He has a particular video I'm going to point you at. It's called Copenhagen by Boat plus Hasselblad. So if you're curious, go look at that one. Another one that I've been doing, and it might appeal more to the art side of the channel subscribers here, but this guy, Tom Makes Art. On Tom Makes Art, he does kind of a classical approach to painting, almost like the Renaissance masters did, and he talks periodically about the technical side of painting and the materials. That's hard to get people to do, and I think a lot of people who are excellent painters, they don't really have a knowledge of the technical side, solvents, paint pigments, brushes, that kind of stuff. So Tom Makes Art, great new channel, glad I found it. This is kind of a smaller channel, but she does mostly wildlife photography. Karen Miller Photography, I don't think she does any camera talks, gear stuff, but it says somewhere on her website that she's an Nikon shooter, so I think her camera of choice is the Nikon Z8. But Karen Miller Photography, you can look for some pretty good wildlife photography there. Last one I'll mention, some of you probably already know the channel. I'll call it a Ron and Tim joint. Two Roads Retired. I've started watching that channel. Ron and Tim from Ron Durant's camera channel are basically doing their retired thing together as a podcast. I think they've only put up 3 or 4 episodes, but I've seen every one of them and paid attention. I found them interesting. In fact, they just dropped the other one a day or two ago, and I had it on in the background while I was cooking in the kitchen, and very pleasant just listening to. I want to thank everybody for attending, and we hope to see you again soon in another video. So till then, take care.